holy. Therefore, we are asking you, please give us this building. The owner glanced incredulously at the real estate agent and then laughed nervously. It is out of the question, he said. I can't do that. The agent was also taken aback and upset. He can't do that, she whispered. I can't give it to you, explained the owner, because I have taken a loss in maintaining this property. So I have to make my money back. This property represents a major part of my income. Then, said Prabhupada, how much do you want? Well, the man replied, I have to get at least $350,000. None of the devotees dared say anything. Prabhupada thought for a moment and then said, we'll give you $300,000 cash. I'll have to think about it, the man replied. The real estate agent got to her feet, saying that a transaction like this is usually not done straight to the owner. But Prabhupada ignored her and spoke with the owner about how lovely the mansion was. Prabhupada then got up and took a short walk in the garden with his men. Govardhan asked Prabhupada if he liked it, and Prabhupada said, yes, who would not like such a building? Ambarish doesn't like it, said Govardhan. Oh? Ambarish said he thought the mansion was Maya. Yes, said Prabhupada, but Maya is also Krishna. We can use everything in Krishna's service. Leaving the garden path and returning to their cars, Prabhupada asked Ambarish, so is this possible? Yes, Prabhupada, this is possible. As soon as they returned to the temple, Ambarish and Lekha Shravanti conferred. Her inheritance was limited, but she was able to give $125,000. Ambarish had to come up with the balance. The next day, the owner came to see Prabhupada. The man was accompanied by two women, and they all appeared a little intoxicated. He had come to say that he accepted the offer. Prabhupada smiled and reaffirmed his intention to buy. Afterward, Srila Prabhupada openly showed his blissfulness about the purchase. Just see, he said, I didn't have one penny, yet I offered him $300,000 cash, and now Krishna has provided the money. As Prabhupada had told the real estate owner, I am a sannyasi, I have no money. After collecting for $300,000 from his disciples, he still had no money. Within a few days, he left for Toronto, taking nothing for himself. Everything was Krishna's, to be used in Krishna's service. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ambarish Prabhu ki. Mother Lekha Shravanti Prabhu ki. You know the name of the deities there in Detroit? It's the only temple where Krishna is first. Kishore Kishori. Kishore Kishori. What? Why are you giving this?
Because you have to. That's a song.
Yes, it is for the pleasure of Srila Vyasadeva. So the verses are 34, 35, and 36. Is that correct, Mataji? Reading from the Śhrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, texts 33, 34, 35, and 36. Chapter titled, The First Step in God Realization. So we'll read the first verse, Sanskrit only, and then the rest we'll just chant. Ishasya Keshan Vidur Ambuvahan Vasas Tu Sandhyang Kuruvarya Bhumnaham Avyaktam Ahur Hridayang Manas Cha Sa Chandrama Savivilakarakosham Ishashan Keshan Vidur Ambuvahan Ishasya Keshan Vidur Ambuvahan Vasastu Sandhyang Kuruvarya Bhumnaham Vasastu Sandhyang Kuruvarya Bhumnaham Avyaktamahurdayang manascha. Avyaktamahurdayang manascha. Sachandramatsavikarakushaha. Sachandramatsavikarakushaha. O best amongst the Kurus, the clouds which carry water are hairs on his head. The terminations of days or nights are his dress. And the supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. Text 35. Vijnana shakting mahim amananti sarvat mananta karanang giritram ajvasvatayustra gajanakani sarve mragakpa shavashroni deshe. The principle of matter, Mahat Tattva, is the consciousness of the omnipresent Lord, as asserted by the experts. And Rudradev is his ego. The horse, mule, camel, and elephant are his nails. And wild animals and all quadrupeds are situated in the belt zone of the Lord. Text 36. Vayang siddhad vyakaranam vichitran manor minisha manujo nivasaha. Gandharva vidyadara charanapsara surasmatir asuranika virya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of mankind, is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humanity is his residence. The celestial species of human beings, like the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and angels, all represent his musical rhythm, and the demoniac soldiers are representations of his wonderful prowess. Please repeat after me. Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of mankind, is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humanity is his residence. The celestial species of human beings, like the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and angels, all represent his musical rhythm. And the demoniac soldiers are representations of his wonderful prowess. Purport. The aesthetic sense of the Lord is manifested in the artistic, colorful creation of varieties of birds like the peacock, parrot, and cuckoo. The celestial species of human beings, like the Gandharvas and Vidyadharas, can sing wonderfully, and it can entice even the minds of the heavenly demigods. Their musical rhythm represents the musical sense of the Lord. How then can he be impersonal? His musical taste, artistic sense, and standard intelligence, which is never fallible, are different signs of his supreme personality. The Manu Samhita is the standard law book for humanity, and every human being is advised to follow this great book of social knowledge. Human society is the residential quarters for the Lord. This means that the human being is meant for God realization and association with God. This life is a chance for the conditioned soul to regain his eternal God consciousness and thus fulfill the mission of life. Maharaj Prahlad is the right type of representative of the Lord in the family of Asuras. None of the living beings is away from the Lord's gigantic body. Each and every one has a particular duty in relation to the Supreme Body. Disruption in the matter of discharging the specific duty assigned to each and every living being is the cause of disharmony between one living being and another. But when the relation is reestablished in relation with the Supreme Lord, there is complete unity between all living beings, even up to the limit of the wild animals and human society. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed this living unity in the jungle of Madhya Pradesh, where even the tigers, elephants, and many other ferocious animals perfectly cooperated in glorifying the Supreme Lord. That is the way to peace and amity all over the world. Om Jnanatmanandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshuramlatamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pankum Lankayate Gurum Yapkipatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dhiratari. This verse coming in relation to the universal form of the Lord is a meditation for the neophyte devotee to accommodate the varieties that we see within the material world, which are, for the normal person, very difficult to explain. He cannot conceive of the source, the origin of these innumerable, of course, innumerable for us, but according to the Vedas, 8,400,000 species of life. So it has clearly defined by the combination of the modes of material nature. Prabhupada uses the example like the primary colors. You mix them, and from those three colors, you get 9, and from 9 times 9 like this. So from those combinations of the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, one gets this 8,400,000 species of life, which are simply the combinations of the material modes of nature. And these bodies we see are just to accommodate those modes manifested in the mind of the living entity. So this is, for us, now having come to this Krishna conscious movement, we can see clearly this relation. We can see that these bodies are a combination of these three modes of material nature. And we can see those bodies which are predominantly one mode as opposed to another. Some bodies are almost completely in the mode of ignorance. Everything is a combination of the three modes, but one mode is predominant. So we see sometimes bodies which are predominantly in the mode of passion, bodies which are predominantly in the mode of ignorance, and bodies which are predominantly in the mode of goodness. Like the devas, the demigods. And here we also, just like we hear about these celestial living beings in all religious scriptures, but no one really gives it much thought that where are these angels and who are they? And what kind of existence do they have? Or in lifestyle do they possess? So we know from the Shastra that these living entities have subtle bodies, not material bodies, not gross material bodies, not earth, water, fire, air. They have mind, intelligence, and ego. But those bodies are real, just like when you dream at night, everything appears to be real. You enjoy pain, pleasure. Everything is there. But you're not in your material body experiencing these things. You're in your subtle body. So a thoughtful person can extrapolate, and he can see that, yes. So there is another level of existence. And people have pursued this. And they're more infatuated with the idea of this dream world. And they try to achieve it by taking intoxication, as opposed to the yogis who try to achieve liberation through the mystic process, the eightfold mystic path, up to the level of samadhi. And then he can enter into the permanent state. He doesn't have to wake up. He simply merges his existence into that transcendental platform, leaving behind this material vehicle, Yantarudhani Maya, this body given by the material energy. He leaves it behind. But this takes great first appreciation how this can be achieved. Is it possible? Does it actually exist? So one has to study very carefully. This is what it means, the science of self-realization. That one examines everything very carefully. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabave Graimindra Sevamukhi Hijivado Swayameva Sprutyadaha. Philosophically, he may understand these points about I am not this body, that there is a higher, something which exists beyond this, what we see with this material senses. And he can even appreciate that even beyond that there is something. Because what was before the material existence? So they come to that level. Brahmeti Paramatmeti. They even understand, like here, it says very, very clearly that human society is the residential quarters for the Lord. What does that mean? It means it's association with the Supreme Lord. How is that possible? Because the Supreme Lord is within our hearts. Therefore, that is how it is the residence. All right? The Supreme Lord is situated in every living being's heart. But who can appreciate that fact? But it is clear here that human society is the residential quarters of the Lord. For those who are in the first step of God realization, they can understand that. God is in everyone's heart. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Of course, this means that learned sage. So difficult for persons who are not familiar with the philosophical, spiritual concepts. How the Lord is within the heart. And not just my heart, but the heart of every living entity. But by adopting the process of Bhakti Yoga, one very quickly achieves this realization. And therefore, we respect all life. How can we eat the animals? How can we cause violence to any living entity? God is situated in the heart of every person, every animal, every one of the 8,400,000 species of life, even down to the Indragopa. Do you know from you're reading Brahma Samhita? Indragopa. What is Indragopa? What is the definition of Indragopa? Indragopa means a germ. A germ. That is the smallest living entity, the germ. You know, let's say some one-celled animal, yes. Even in that one-celled animal, so-called animal, the Supreme Personality of God, it is sitting next to the living entity in that one-celled animal. And his manifestation is proportion. Of course, wherever God is, the kingdom of God is there. So therefore, the kingdom of God is everywhere, in every atom and in between every atom. Because wherever Krishna is, also there is the kingdom of God. So we are never separate from Krishna. And the devotee, he sees Krishna everywhere in everything, under all circumstances. He never feels that I'm alone. And Prabhupada gave that very answer. He said, I was never alone. He said, I was never alone. Whether he was in Radha Damodar doing his bhajan, whether he was on the Jaladuta, suffering terribly, in old age and distress, normal persons could not conceive of undertaking such an arduous journey. And then, as he said in the Lilamrita, how having to live under Bowery, even in India, the Bowery is known as the place inhabited by the most unfortunate persons. Another name for the Bowery, when I was young, is called Skid Row. The lowest place. Synonymous with despair and hopelessness. And yet, the pure devotee, and he says they were urinating in my doorway and sleeping there. But they would get up. And what is his solution for these things? To serve prasadam. This is why prasadam distribution is so important. Yes, book distribution must be there. But the secret weapon, Prabhupada said, is prasadam. So prasadam distribution must be there. Especially, just like we're reading, all the devotees are afraid. The neighborhood where they wanted to purchase a temple is so bad. But therefore, they got an amazing facility for the Supreme Personality of Godhead at a very bargain basement price. Who can imagine? But Krishna himself, and we understand that from these pastimes, arranged this just for his pure devotee. It's not by chance that this situation comes. Like there, and says, let there be a temple. So when Krishna comes by his own sweet will, then it is up to us to make suitable arrangements for his proper worship and enjoyment. It is up to us. Without service, no one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without service, no one can make advancement. It says, Manushanam Sahasreshu, out of thousands who come, Yatatam api siddhanam, kaschid mam veti tattva. Hardly one knows me in truth. This is the key. Thousands are coming, thousands are leaving. So what is that truth? That truth is when one, and that's that verse, Takshu Krishna Nama Abhi, Nabhaved Gayam Indriya, Sevon Mukhi Hi Jivago. Service. And without service, then one cannot come to that level of spiritual enjoyment, even a drop of which saves one. And Lord Chaitanya shows that for which we are always anxious. So many people come to spiritual life, and then what happens? They go back again. Prabhupada used the example opening up hospitals, but not just opening up hospitals. They come and they think, okay, now let me go back to school, let me go back to work, let me go do, because they're not getting the higher taste. If the higher taste is there, then what is the need for anything else? We're not talking family obligations. That's a different thing. One is a grahasta, he has to do what he has to do. And make arrangements for the family to remain in Krishna consciousness. That is his service. But in general, if he has not had the taste, then how can he give the taste to others? How can he say, yes, this is the process by which we should remain forever connected? But if he is not convinced, if he thinks this is just another religious process, some rules, some regulations, some rituals, then it is lost. It's not that now I have adopted some tradition, some cultural situation, and so I worship deities in my home, and that's there. Every home should be a temple. But the spiritual master has a mission. If one doesn't come to the level of fulfilling the order of the spiritual master, not just the basics, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regular principles, that's there. That's the first, just like it says, the first step in God realization. That's the first step, how to become eligible. Just like when you join the military. First you go to basic training. Right? And after basic training, there's further, and there's called AIT, Advanced Infantry Training. Then one is ready to go into the field and be, what does it say here? Demoniac soldiers are representations of the Lord's wonderful prowess. Yes, then when one is trained, basic training, advanced training, then he can be a soldier. He is transformed. He can do the work of the government. He is an instrument. But that is not. That is for material things. But for us, it has that same. That is why the Nectar of Devotion emphasizes service. All of Nectar of Devotion is all about service. Because through service, one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. These three, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta stressed very strongly. Why? Because otherwise he knew, if one does not come up to that platform, Prema Pumarto Mahat, it's not artificial. We're not here crying in front of the deity and rolling on the floor. No, that is artificial. Prabhupada said, don't try to see Krishna. Just act in such a way that Krishna will see you. Act in such a way that Krishna will see you. So it is clear from all of Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And who would know better how to please Krishna than the pure devotee? It is not from my mind. I think, let me offer something to Krishna. Should I offer this? Should I offer that? You can offer anything. But if there's no patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya, if there's no love and devotion, then what is the point? And where is the love and devotion? Love and devotion is shown by nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Cannot escape this fact. Krishna is saying everywhere, in every chapter, just become an instrument. Manmana bhava, just surrender unto me. Everything is there, every time. Kevala Anandakanda. One has to get, he has to feel that. And he has to know that this is the higher taste, not by someone telling him. Hey, in the old days in the movies, in New York City, if you went to Times Square, many people did different things, but they always had people in those days who were selling stolen goods or fake goods. And they used to keep them inside their jacket. And they would open the jacket and they'd say, hey, you want to buy a watch, buddy? So we cannot say, hey, you want some higher taste? We can say that. Everyone wants a higher taste. They're looking for it everywhere. Anandamaya Abhyasat. But they have to see it. They have to see the devotees on the street chanting the holy names in ecstasy. I want what they have. I want what they have. How can the devotees be so happy? Everywhere the material world is burning, fire of material existence. Riots everywhere. In all major cities, people burning everything. Because they don't know. They don't have a higher taste. So burning, more burning. What does it solve? Nothing. Not to say that we are the, but because Harinam is less in these cities. Before, in these cities, Seattle and Portland, we had big presence. And now we have nothing. Big, vibrant temples. Many devotees joined. Why? Because those very liberal states. So people have open mind. But now their open mind is filled with nothing but garbage. Because they don't know what to do. This is the definition, of people in that situation. They don't know what to do. How to act. Where is shelter? Where is shelter? They're thinking this philosophy is shelter, this ism or that ism. No, none of these are shelters. Only shelter is the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we have to take them there gradually. So that is why prasadam is the secret weapon. Everyone experiences pleasure by tasting Krishna prasadam. In the beginning, he may not taste the pleasure in chanting the holy names. That is also there. Prabhupada gave us that example. What is like nectar in the beginning is poison at the end. And what is like poison in the beginning is nectar at the end. Yes. One has to take the medicine. The holy name is the medicine for all the diseases of the material world. But in the beginning, it is very difficult. It's like a jaundiced man. The cure is sugar candy, and sugar candy is naturally sweet. But he cannot taste the sweetness. A person with jaundice takes sugar candy, he tastes sugar candy is very bitter. Very bitter. But he takes the medicine, and as he continues to take it after some time, gradually his original taste comes back. And he again tastes the sweetness of the sugar. Again. So we don't have to do anything extraneous. We don't have to go to some seminar, some college, some meeting. Prahlad Maharaj, he condemned those things. Matirna Krishna Paratak Svatova Mito Vipadyeti Grihavatana Adanta Gobya Vishyatam Tamisham Punak Punas Chavata Charam. So all those things simply lead to chewing the chewed again. Only leads to chewing the chewed. So we don't want to. We want to stay fixed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for that, we have to learn how to please Him. It is not artificial. It is not mechanical. It has to be done with the heart. We have to develop our emotional approach. Devotional service has everything to do with the heart. But the hard heart, nothing can change. So we have to cleanse the heart. So the chanting is there. And if one is chanting nicely, he sees clearly how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind. He has appeared in so many forms. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijasavashaktis. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasavikaha. He gets that appreciation. And this appreciation is everything for his advancement in spiritual life. He is not just, he's doing this because he wants to do this. Not just because he's taken a vow and he has to do this. I have to get up, I have to go, I have to take it. No, that's there in the beginning. Everyone has to do these things. But he also has to come up to that platform where he knows that I'm doing this to please my spiritual master and please Krishna, and actually I'm feeling their mercy by this endeavor. I'm feeling this mercy. I feel Krishna's hand guiding me in all my endeavors. And we don't have to worry. The famous saying in India, whenever something is a little disturbed, no one knows what to do. So their response, Chinta mat karo. Chinta mat karo. Means don't worry. Doesn't matter if the building just collapsed. Still in their mind, they say, no, Chinta mat karo. Khush raho. Just smile. Just be happy. But you have to know the secret. Yes, then whether you're in heaven or in hell, you're satisfied because I'm serving Krishna. I'm a servant. My identity is that I am a servant of Krishna. That's who I am. And that will guide me. I am not something else. I am not my occupational duty. Atak pumbir dvija shreshta vanashama vibhagasaha. Swanustatasya dharmasya sangsiddhiya haritoshana. Doesn't matter what your occupation is, according to the caste, varna, ashram. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a Brahmin. Doesn't matter what you are. But whatever you're doing, if it's not satisfying Krishna, sangsiddhiya haritoshana. Then what is the next verse? Shrama eva hi kevalam. Useless waste of time. Useless waste of time. So one has to study Srila Prabhupada's purports very carefully. He has to listen to Srila Prabhupada very carefully. If one does that alone and chants and takes Krishna Prasadam and stays in the association of devotees, then he will go back home, back to Godhead. There's no doubt. Devotees are departing back home, back to Godhead every single day. And we're very happy for them. Nice devotee, and daughter of a old friend, Mother Shamali. May Shri Radha Govinda have mercy on her in every respect, that she immediately finds shelter at his lotus feet. Why? Because she was a servant, an eternal servant, born in a devotee family. Even the demigods want to take birth in the family to the devotees. So who can understand? So we also have to be fixed up and ready. It is not that death is something far away. Shamali was a very young girl. But for the soul, there's never birth nor death. The soul is ageless. He's not slain when the body is slain. So nobody's old, nobody's young. But everyone is in a situation by the agency of the three modes of material nature. And the only way he can get out is to reestablish his constitutional position. as a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parampara servant. Prabhupada used that term, parampara servant. I am the servant of my spiritual master. He is a servant of his spiritual master. Like this. So our connection is there. So don't break this connection. We'll read the verse again. Actually, 3 verses. O best among the crews, the clouds which carry water are the hairs on his head. The terminations of days or nights are his dress. And the supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of mankind, is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humanity is his residence. The celestial species of human beings like the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charnas, and angels all represent his musical rhythm, and the demoniac soldiers are representations of his wonderful prowess. Any questions, comments, concerns? All of the problems of the material world are solved by Krishna consciousness. Immediately. Whatever you see, whatever discrepancy was there, just like it's described in the purport. Disruption in the matter of discharging the specific duty assigned to each and every living being is the cause of disharmony between one living being and another. But when the relationship is reestablished in relation with the Supreme Lord, there is complete unity. Complete unity. So our service is to reawaken everyone's dormant loving propensity so that they see each other in their actual spiritual relationship. They were all children of God. Any questions, Mother Divyamki? Any questions? Śhrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Deva ki.